Today on our 2012 BMW X6, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Class 3 2-inch CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. Now this is what our hitch looks like installed. As you can tell, it's pretty much hidden. The only thing you can see is a receiver tube opening. Now it does sit pretty far back, which is going to keep it even more hidden. However, it does offer adequate clearance for any bike racks or hitch mounted accessories you might have. Now don't be intimidated that you have to remove the rear fascia to get this hitch installed. As long as you take your time, you'll be just fine. Now once it's removed, it's really easy. Just take your hitch, slide it over your 4 studs on each side, and tighten down your hardware. This is a Class 3 hitch, so it's going to utilize a 2-inch by 2-inch opening. It's also going to have a standard size 5/8 hitch pin hole. But keep in mind that the pin and clip does not come included. If you need to pick one up, you can see etrailer.com. It also has a loop style safety chain opening, which does offer a pretty good amount of space to utilize just about any size safety chain hook. Now it does have a gloss black finish, which is not only going to look good, it's going to help keep it protected from any corrosion or rust from the elements. Now this hitch does have a 600-pound maximum tongue weight, which is the amount of downward pressure on the receiver tube. It has a 6,000-pound gross trailer weight. So what that means is the amount of weight pulling on the receiver tube. So that's the amount your trailer weighs plus anything you might have on it. Now it isn't rated to be used with the weight distribution system. It is always a good idea to check with your vehicle's owner's manual to make sure your vehicle can pull that amount of weight. And now I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube measures about 15.5 inches. This is important when deciding if you need a drop, rise, or raise shank on your accessory. And from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, it measures about 5.5 inches. This is important when determining if any of your folding accessories can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's show you how to get it installed. We're going to begin our installation by removing this cover with 3 screws. Just set this off to the side for now. Alright, there's going to be multiple 8mm screws, just like this, that we're going to remove throughout the bottom of the bumper. Alright, now we can go ahead and disconnect this plug. This is on the passenger side of the vehicle. And to do that, there is 2 push pins on each side. You just squeeze it tight with your thumb and pointer finger and disconnect it like that. All right, behind the back tire and the wheel well, you're going to find 1 8mm screw. You can go ahead and remove that. And then we're going to have a few plastic rivets, which is holding this wheel well trim piece on. We're going to have to remove those. That way we can pull this trim piece out to get to a fastener behind it. So to do that, we're just simply going to drill the center out. And then with the trim panel removal tool, we'll come in here, pull them out the rest of the way. Now we're going to do that exact same process to the other side. Alright, so now with all the hardware out of this wheel well trim, we need to separate it from the rear bumper. Now we're going to do that by carefully and patiently pulling it towards us. There's a handful of clips in here that need to get separated. So what I like to do is start from the bottom and pull outward. You might have to jiggle it a little bit, just be really patient. You don't want to break any of these clips. These are the clips, and they get pushed into slots here in the bumper. So we just need to get it far enough down to expose this bolt and to be separated from this bumper. Now that this is done on both sides, we're going to use an 8mm to remove this bolt. And do the exact same thing to the other side. All right, next we're going to go ahead and remove the taillights. That way we can get more access to the clips that are holding the bumper on and just make life a little bit easier. So first, there's 2 push pins right here. We need to pop those out. That way this panel can move and allow us to pull the taillight out. Now you can go underneath and pry out that way. However, I found it's a little bit easier with a small flathead to actually kind of work behind the panel where this pin is and just gradually pry forward. We'll keep these and set them to the side. You want to be careful because these are fragile. All right, now we need to remove this panel. You simply just pull it the opposite direction, set it to the side. Now that gives us access to the hardware that is holding our taillights on. Now there's going to be 3 8mm nuts just like this. We'll go ahead and get those removed. All right, now before we pull the light out, it's a little easier to unplug the connector that goes to your tail light. It's just this one black connector, and up top there's a small push tab. You're just going to push that down with your finger and pull outward. All right, with everything undone, we can carefully remove the tail light. You might have to kind of shake it a little bit. We'll just set this off to the side and do the exact same procedure to the other side. Now with an extra set of hands, we can carefully pull back the fascia to completely remove it. And just take your time with this. There are a handful of brittle clips in here that you don't want to break. So just be careful while you're doing this. Sometimes it helps down in there if you can see. If you get a flathead, you kind of push down and help release that clip. And we'll just set this off to the side, somewhere safe. Now with the rear fascia out of the way, we need to remove this steel bumper beam. Now we're going to do that by using an 18mm socket to remove the 4 nuts. Now we're going to do that to both sides. All right, now with an extra set of hands, we're going to put our hitch on the studs that were previously holding our steel bumper bracket on. Now we'll take our conical tooth washer and make sure that the teeth face towards the hitch and our included nut. Go ahead and run that down hand tight. Now we're going to do that same process for all of the remaining studs. Now with all the hardware hand tight, we'll go ahead and snug them down. I personally like to go in an X pattern. That way it helps pull the hitch to the vehicle nice and evenly. Now with them all snug down, we can use a torque wrench to torque them to the proper specification. You can find that specification in your instructions. We're going to repeat that process on the other side. Now just in case if you were wondering, the steel bumper beam that we previously removed does not get reinstalled. So you can just keep it in your garage or throw it away. All right, now with an extra set of hands, we can reinstall the rear fascia just how we took it off. With the bumper back in place, we can reinstall our 8mm screw back into the side portion here behind this wheel well trim. We're going to do that to both sides. All right, now we can go ahead and reinstall our wheel well trim. Just line it back up. Then we'll use some plastic rivets to hold them back up. Now the kit does come with some. If you do need more, you can contact your local dealer or maybe even your auto parts store to pick some extras up. And you'll also need a plastic rivet gun. One thing I do want to mention is do not forget to plug your electrical connector back in. And that'll do it for our look at and installation of the Class 3 2-inch CURT Trailer Hitch receiver on our 2012 BMW X6.